Was really good. Was really good. Back at it again. As you can see, I got no camera. Got a whole new setup with the new monitor and etc. So my camera's way too big, so I gotta get that situated. So this video we won't have a camera, but not too big of a deal. Other than that, today's video is gonna be on candles, just to basically so y'all can learn how to read it, understand the story that it's showing off, and then understand how to utilize that into your confluences when you're going into taking a trade and truly see what price is actually doing with price action and etc. So right now we're in US 30. This is a trade that I took yesterday that finished that I took at 5:45 and it finished at like 6:45, 5:45 p.m. and then it finished to 6:45 a.m. So we're gonna kind of go based off of this and etc. when it comes to understanding the story that candles are showing off. So this is a big trade that I took, held it overnight. Thankfully the market ain't reversed and did this whole shebang up. And as you can see, I had my Fibonacci from boom to boom, held it to that 27 percentile level. Did push up some more, but eventually it reversed. You feel me? So, but besides that, again, we're gonna be talking about candles. So, price pushed down off that first candle since market open, and boom, hit that fair value gap. And then long wick rejection. This is one of the many terms you're gonna be hearing in this video. This video might be a little lengthy, but it's worth the watch. Trust me, it's worth the watch. If you really want to succeed in trading, this is stuff you gotta learn. But hit that long rejection. Now in the other video, I believe it was the support and resistance, I mentioned a quick brief thing about rejections. Rejections go on both sides, but in this case, price came down, hence hit a level of interest, a point of interest, a POI. In this case, it was a fair value gap. That was a point of interest, and immediately rejected. Now, what's a rejection? A rejection is when price comes down with the full candle, like we'll say like this big bearish candle right here. And then the moment it hits a certain area, doesn't even have to hit a certain area, but for the most part, hits a certain area, because sometimes you'll see it start to form wicks in random areas. So in this case, it went into a certain area, a POI, and immediately went from a full body bearish candle, so like here, if you can see the mouse, so like here, to a long wick, and the body was pushed all the way to the top. So that's a rejection. And then vice versa. So let's say there was a support and resistance zone right here. Price came up here. It was a full body, just like this big bullish candle, but the moment it hit that area of interest, it got pushed all the way down and formed a long wick and a small body at the bottom. Now, what does this tell us? This tells us that there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of momentum coming from either side. So in this example, if there was a resistance level here, it hitting that and forming that long wick and pushing the thick body right here all the way down, that lets me know, all the way down to the bottom of the wick, that lets me know, hey, there's a ton of sell side pressure because price pushed up to here, and the moment it got there, it got pushed all the way back down. That's a rejection. Price pushed all the way down here, and because there was a ton of buy side pressure, letting me know there's a ton of buyers in the market, so I should be looking to buy in this area, it pushed the body all the way to the top. That is what a rejection is. So whenever you have a POI and it hits there and it starts forming a long wick, that lets you know, hey, there's a ton of pressure coming from whatever side, whether that's here, which would be sell side pressure, or here, which would be buy side pressure, or momentum. All right. Now, what are the wicks and the bodies? The bodies are the thick, full parts, like here at the top here. And then the wicks are the thin parts. Now, remember, these are called candles. These are actually Japanese candles. But these are called candles. So just like a candle, you have the thick area that has the scent and whatever. And then on top of that, you have a tiny, thin little stick thing, which is called a wick. So if these are candles, then that means the thin part that shows is the wick. All right, so every time you have a candle that goes from a full body or more body like this, and then the little thin, whether that's at the top, whether it's small or huge like here, that is a wick. So the thin parts are the wicks and the bodies are the thick full parts. All right. Now, what are they exactly? They are price. So the wicks are price. This is what the money is. This is what price is the wicks. The body is how price is moving. So that's why people will be like, oh, the lowest point or price's lowest point was here at 39,479.72. And the highest is up here. That's what the price was at because of the wick. But to let us know what price is actually doing, if it's going on the upside or whatever, we look at the bodies. So like I was saying, the wicks are price and the bodies show us what price is doing. So whenever the body of the candle is getting pushed up, that lets us know that price is going up. There's a lot of buy side pressure pushing the market and pushing the price upwards. So the body shows us what price is actually doing. It shows the momentum of price, whether it's going up or going down. That's what it shows. All right. So now that we know what wicks are, we know what the bodies are, we know what they tell us, we know what part of one of many stories that the candles do tell us. You now know what rejections are. Now that you know the essential stuff, now we can go deeper into some other things. So more on what candles tell us in terms of a story. So, and this will play into what I just mentioned. So this won't be a huge thing. So if I can get it right here and here and these two right here. What do they have in common? They have wicks and super thin bodies. Now, you might think, oh, well, what do you mean the candle tells stories? It's a narrator? It's an author? No. It tells stories as in it lets us know, again, like I just mentioned, what price is doing. So the bodies, how those are the things that move up and down and not the wicks, how those tell us what price is doing and how it's actually moving. So does other formations of candles, essentially. So again, this already plays into what I just mentioned, so it's nothing too crazy, but as an example, right here, these long wick and thin bodies are called doji candles. And we'll go more into, actually I'll probably have a different video on that. I'll have brief descriptions of some particular names in terms of candlestick patterns and etc. and what they do and what they tell you. Actually, no, I'll have that in the video. But this would be a doji candle. Long wick, thin body. That lets us know that there was essentially a tug of war. Essentially, the buyers were trying to push the price up and the sellers were trying to push the price down. And think of like whenever you have that little string off your shirt and it has a knot, or you have something like a string with a knot on it, and the more you pull it further apart, the smaller that little knot ball gets. That's exactly what this is. Price was trying to get pulled and pushed in two different directions, therefore the body got thinned out. That's the body telling us what price is actually doing and everything. And because of this lets us know that there is indecision, which is what it's called. A doji candle is indecision. So this lets us know that there's most likely going to be a reversal. So how this is selling, granted it didn't reverse after these two, but after it sold, guess what? It formed another doji candle and it reversed and gave us this big green bullish candle, and guess what, started heading straight upwards. Guess what, right here started selling a little bit, 2 doji candles, started pushing back up again. All right, so that was just a little example, and there's gonna be more candles and patterns that go into it. Just a handful of things, just brief descriptions. I might have full videos more on everything, but this is just kind of a brief description of all the candles and etc. and just everything about it. But that's an example of one candlestick pattern. That's an example that plays into, like I mentioned earlier, the body and the wicks. The wicks are price, and the bodies show us what price is actually doing. And yeah. All right. Now we're going to go and find another little candlestick pattern type thing. I'm gonna try and find 2. Well, we'll start with this one and go find the third one. Just the main 3, because there's only 3 candlestick patterns I use. 2, well, technically speaking 4, even though 2 of those 4 are the same thing, just inversed. But right now we're gonna be doing this would be a evening star candle pattern right here. So an evening star candle pattern is a big bullish candle, a long wick, small body, which could be a doji candle or a pin bar candle or a hammer candle, which I'll go in description in a second, and then followed with a big bearish candle. This is called an evening star pattern because it's going to go down just like how the sun goes down when it comes to evening times. And then the inverse version would be a morning star pattern. So, matter of fact, right here, which would be the inverse. So, big bearish candle, long wick, small body, doji or pin bar, hammer candles, whatever, and then followed by a big green candle. Lets me know it's going to start buying. Boom, catch that whole thing. Evening star candle, boom, catch that whole sell. You feel me? So that's another one. And then what this tells us, again, just like it's essentially the morning and evening star candle pattern is basically what you would be looking for with just simply a doji candle like these long wicks and bodies, which is essentially there's indecision. Price doesn't know where it wants to go, therefore it's just going to reverse and go in the opposite direction. Now, just because you see a doji candle and you know that a doji candle means it's going to be a reversal, most likely, that doesn't mean you enter straight off of it. You enter off of doji candles and etc. with other confluences. All right, same with the morning star and evening star. And then I'll get into that in a second. And then the last one that I use would be a pin bar. So, or pin bar or hammer candle. They're kind of the same thing to an extent. So, pin bar candle would be like here, which would be the long wick and a small body, more on the top, or inverse, more on the bottom of the wick. So like here, instead of being all the way at the top or all the way at the bottom or thin down the middle. That'd be a pin bar candle. That lets me know that there's buy side pressure because long wick and the body finished at the top of the wick instead of in the middle or at the bottom. Lets me know there's buy side pressure because it's getting pushed upwards. All right, and then inverse version would be price getting pushed down. So right here, and just like I said, just because you see that doesn't mean you immediately enter off of it. You're gonna have more confluences. I'm going to go in a second. And then the last one would be a hammer candle right here. Same thing as a pin bar, but instead of it being like in the top, like all the way at the top, but kind of in between the stuff and the wick at the top, it's all the way at the top and it's just wick straight at the bottom. Lets me know that there's a lot of buy side pressure. That's a more conformational candle that kind of lets me know I should probably be entering now. It's about the only candle, but you still had a bunch of confluences on, but it's about one of the only candles you can legit kind of enter off on, but really just depends on everything else added into your confluences. It's like here, boom, pushed up, buy side pressure. You could have entered here and boom, caught the whole thing. You feel me? Now, how to add candles into your confluence instead of going, oh, well, JT said whenever you see a doji candle or pin bar, a hammer candle, whichever way the body is on top and whichever way the wick is, I should enter immediately. Don't do that. I never said that. You add it into confluences. So with this, we'll start with this doji candle, not these here. So, matter of fact, we'll start here. So let's say you did enter off of these doji candles right here. Guess what? Price kept pushing down. You probably would have got stopped out. Maybe, or just about close to getting stopped out. Because you thought, oh, well, doji candle, that means there's going to be a reversal to the opposite direction it's been going in. So you entered and boom, you get stopped out instead of waiting. So here was a demand zone. These never hit the demand zone. These candles hit the demand zone, and then eventually you got a doji candle. That was followed by a small green candle. But here, once it finally got in the demand zone, showing me that, hey, doji candle in the demand zone, that it's already previously hit and shown that it works, I could be looking to enter. That green candle off of that should lean you more into getting closer to entering. And then this big green candle, depending on how much that pushed up, you could have either waited till about here or wait for these EMAs to flip, and then boom, could have entered right around here and then took it to wherever. That would be using candles and candlestick patterns to your confluences, and not just, oh, well, I see this candle and woo, I'm going to enter. No. And same thing here. Let's say there was a resistance zone up here. All right. So boom, big green doji candle right here, long wick, thin body, followed by that. All right. I would only enter off of that depending on what type of market we're in. So if we are in a buy side market and it's giving me a evening star candle, which means it's going to start selling, I'm not trusting that, because guess what? This only sold a little bit until it started buying again, and guess what? Swept liquidity and stopped you out. So with the evening star candle patterns, you have to wait for confirmation depending on what type of market you're in. So if you're in a buy side market, you should only be looking for morning star candles, because it's going to go up like the sun, and not evening. If you're in a sell side market, you should be looking for evening and not morning. And then morning star, same thing. Just boom. You just want to wait for that rejection off of that zone. Once it does that, again, you just want to make sure that it's giving you that candlestick pattern that's going to be in reversal in this direction, but it's going to be respecting the market and respecting the trend. You always want to respect the trend and go with the trend. Otherwise, you get screwed over and lose money. Last but not least, just more reiteration on just pressure and momentum. That's mainly what you look for in the candles. With the candles, you don't have to memorize, oh, this is a doji candle, it's going to be a reversal. Oh, this is a evening star candle pattern, it's going to be a reversal. Oh, this is a pin bar, this is a hammer candle. You don't really need to memorize that. You don't. All you need to do is look at the wicks and the body. So, sure, if you want to memorize all the things I just went over in terms of the names of the main candles and candlestick patterns that you'll be using that are the only ones that really matter, sure, you can memorize that and use that. That's 100% fine. You can use that 100%. There's no issue with that. That's not going to hinder you from succeeding in trading. Or you can reduce stress. You can reduce adding so much that it just blows your mind that you can't even think. Everything is fried in your head. And just realize, okay, sure, I can memorize these patterns, or I can just look at the wicks in the body. Like I said, the wicks are price, the body shows what price is doing. So if there is a demand zone right here, if there, for retail traders, beginner traders, if there is a support level right here and price hits it and gives me a long wick and a small body all the way at the top, and in this case it finished off in a bullish candle, that's how it closed, that lets me know, all right, I can enter in it. Now, sure, I could go, oh, well, it just made a hammer candle and woo to woo to woo and momentum and pressure and it hit the level, etc. Or I could just realize, okay, hit the level, and the moment it hit it, it went from a full body candle like here to a long wick and the thin body all the way at the top. That lets me know there's buy side pressure pushing it from all the way down here all the way up. So then they could keep buying and push all the way up to here. Simple as that. Or again, you can just memorize, oh, hammer candle, pin bar candle, whatever. But the names and etc. those don't matter. All that matters is that you can understand and acknowledge momentum and pressure from both sides. If you can understand that, once price gets to specific levels and POIs, then it's self-explanatory from there. It gets to a POI here. Let's say there was a resistance level up here. Gets to a POI, starts giving me long wicks and rejections and pushing the price all the way down and all the way down, all the way down. I'm going to be looking to sell because guess what? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in general areas, but mainly off the zone. I got 4 rejections that are clearly strong because look how long the wicks are. That lets me know there's a ton of sell side pressure because it just keeps pushing price down every time it tries to break past here. And then guess what? I catch the whole shebang. And then let's say there's a support level down here. I got 1, 2. Okay, might not be that many, but guess what? That's a retest, and these are also long wicks, and this is a pin bar candle, which lets me know I can enter for a buy position and catch it to all the way up here or whatever. You feel me? So you don't need to memorize and like all the people who put out videos and all the people who put out stuff on TikTok, Instagram, whatever, these photos, oh, memorize all these candlestick patterns and etc., etc., even the chart patterns, which I'll have a video on, but you can't really trade off of them depending on what you do in terms of how you trade and etc. But just like the chart patterns and the candlestick pattern, there's only like 3 or 4 that you genuinely will see 24/7 and that you can actually go off of in terms of other confluences. Everything else is just rubbish, trash. You feel me? But again, you don't need to really memorize those because all they do is show you what you already know. So here would be a double bottom because 1, 2. Hit the zone and retested it. You don't even have to go, oh, double bottom, double bottom. Look, price hit here, came back and retested it and rejected. Buying. Simple as that. You don't have to go, oh, well, it formed a double bottom and it rejected and etc. Don't need to do that. That's just extra. Same thing with the candles like I just went over. But, yeah. So that's everything about, not everything, but that's everything about, that's a brief description, I guess, about the candles, what they show, what they do, how to utilize them, and how to truly understand them and what stories they tell you so you can add that into your confirmation and confluences before you enter a trade so then you can take a legit trade. Going back to my trade from here, I mentioned earlier I was going to say why my entry was so late. So here, matter of fact, this will even play into, just because the candle's showing you something, you got to add more into it. It hit this fair value gap. I was going to enter here, but recently I've had a lot of failed fair value gaps, so I wanted to wait for more confirmation, which in this case was the flip of the EMAs. So yes, it gave me a long wick and a smaller body all the way at the top, showing a ton of buy side pressure. So yes, I very much could have entered, but I also want to wait for even more confluences instead of just one candle, which once the EMAs flipped, that's when I entered, never got stopped out, just kept going up, and boom, bagged it. Went from a 1 to 7 RR to me being in a break-even point right here. So regardless if it reversed, I got out. I would have got out positive, but it didn't reverse, and I got full profits. So I would be utilizing the candlestick, showing me that there's a ton of buy-side pressure, instead of going, oh, pin bar. This long wick lets me know, regardless of what candlestick pattern it might be in somebody's handbook, there's a ton of buy-side pressure. So after more confluences, I'm going to enter for a buy-side position. And that's all you got to do. And then you can take a big trade like that and hold it overnight or whatever. That's just everything about candles, what you genuinely need to know, how to utilize them, and what stories they tell you, and just more terms about it. There are more terms, which I'll explain and probably end up saying in future videos, but the main ones, the main things you need to know about the candles is all in this video here. But yeah, if there's something else I'll miss, I'll come back with another part. There'll probably already be another part, but whatever. And yeah, you can like, subscribe, go to the gram, whatever you want to do. Just trying to help some people out. I'll see y'all.